Test 1 2, test 1 2. What is up, everyone? Welcome to the video today. We're going to be talking about boxing, what's going on in the world of boxing, or at least the things that are making the most noise in boxing. And of course, the fight between Canelo Alvarez and Munguia is taking place. People are saying that Canelo Alvarez is ducking David Benavidez. I mean, it could be perceived that way. I'm going to go ahead and say it's kind of like a duck. You know what they say, it walks like a duck, it talks like a duck, then that's a duck. So I'm going to give the haters, I'm going to give them that. It's a duck. Um, the thing is, I don't think Benavidez was ever going to be next. I think in the original contract, he had a 3-fight deal with the PBC, or whatever they're called right now, probably for legal reasons. But he had a 3-fight deal with them. Okay, so and in that contract, I believe, and I think most people knew or had a suspicion that it was going to be both of the Charlo brothers, and the third fight was going to be David Benavidez. I think he had him lined up in that way. So even since the beginning, David Benavidez was not going to be the second fight. It doesn't even make strategic sense. It doesn't make any type of sense to me for David Benavidez to be next. This is why from my perspective, it doesn't look like a duck. It just looks like things are going according to plan. The only difference is that they switched off one of the Charlo brothers for a Munguia brother. I mean, for a Munguia guy. But so it's like he was never going to be next. So why are people acting like he was going to be next, Benavidez? And that's what I think this is really. If you take away all the he said, she said, take away all the hearsay, you know, and you look at what we know that was on the table to begin with, you know, Benavidez was never going to be next. And even if you think about it, now he has a new contract. Now it's an 11 fight or 10 fight deal. You know, who is he going to fight in those 10 fights? If everybody wants Benavidez to be next, and he is, it's like for example, like I said, like I told somebody before, it's like the climax is at the end, bro. Like even in movies, you go to any genre, you know, it's always going to be at the end. The final boss is at the end. You know, the biggest challenge is at the end. It's not at the beginning. You know, so he was never going to be next, bro. People just need to be a little bit more patient. Now, if after this and if he waits too long on it, that fight won't get made because people are knocking at Benavidez' door too. It's not just Canelo now. And the thing about Benavidez is that there's a certain amount of illusion that needs to be kept in order for him to continue to be the Mexican monster. If he happens to run into somebody that is bigger than him, or I'm talking about Benavidez, or beats him up, you know, before he gets to the Canelo fight, that's gonna ruin the fight for everybody. So yeah, that's what I think is going on. You know, it's obvious to me what's happening. Just it feels like a lot of people are just like they just wanted to fight next, and this is not happening next. Which, in my opinion, was never going to happen next. You could see that it was never going to happen that way. Now, I don't know why. The thing that's kind of weird is that Canelo was asking for the second Charlo fight. And I think the reason for him doing that is because he's paying attention to the haters too much, which I think you should never do. You should never pay attention to the haters. They obviously don't have your best interest in mind. Look at Ryan Garcia. You know, He's about to fight Devin Haney. Because he put up a poll talking about, hey, who you want me to fight? It's like, bro, of course they're gonna ask you to get beat up, bro, because they don't like you. You know what I mean? So it's like, don't listen to. I'm not saying don't listen to the fans, but just be careful what you listen to. Don't because they're the ones that put up the Charlo brothers as being these great fighters, right? But it's not that, bro. It's a PBC thing. They're being loyal to the PBC. They're also, some of them are haters. Some of them don't like Canelo because of what he is and what he represents. And so some people actually did believe that the Charlos were that good. Um, but that's just what it is. Some people just have different opinions. Um, but this is another thing too. This is like things that you gotta take into consideration. And I personally would not go out of my way to please any haters or to prove the haters wrong. I think that's a recipe for disaster. I don't think anybody should do it, and I hope Canelo snaps out of that and gets back to just putting those final nails in the trajectory of his career, because he's already a Hall of Famer. He's already accomplished more than any one of these other guys that people are calling for him to fight. Um, right now he's on top, in my opinion. Even though he's lost, he's accomplished more than all. For example, Tank Davis. He never got around to fighting any of the fights that we wanted. Right now he's about to fight Frank Martin. Nobody asked for that fight. Frank Martin, I think I saw him getting beat up by Ryan Garcia. So it's like, dude, like nobody asked for that fight. You're just picking easy fights. You never got around to fighting Lomachenko. You never got around to fighting any of the guys that now have outgrown you. So now you never gonna fight them. And now it's like Tank is. I'm looking at Tank. It's like, well, what's next for him? You know, it's just crazy, dude. And this is the guy they praise over Canelo. Talking about Canelo did rehydration clause, but the guy you're over here slobbing on, he does it too. Didn't he do that to Ryan Garcia? you know, he brought him all the way down. The dude was um, he wasn't in his top shape, bro. And I'm not saying that's why he lost. Some of the things he was doing in there, it just seemed like, I don't know why he was throwing that many hooks. Like, I get it, your hook is crazy, but you got to set it up. He was just going in there like throwing nothing but hooks. I was like, bro. But I mean, not eating does affect your brain and the way you think. So that could be why Ryan Garcia was acting stupid in there against Tank. But my point is like, there's different standards that people put on people that they don't like, and I think one of the reasons Canelo is hated so much is because he breaks so many modes, so many labels that we like to put on certain fighters, type of fighters. And Canelo is that fighter that breaks those modes. I mean, he's a white Mexican. Okay, so right off the bat, that's not common to what popular media likes to push as a Mexican. Um, Number two, he's kind of slick. He's kind of slick with his movements. So that's another thing. Mexicans, to popular media, they're not supposed to be slick. That's just what people think. I'm not saying it's true. I'm just telling you what people like to believe and the labels people put on certain fighters. In other things that modes that he breaks. You know what I mean? So it's like, the people that are hating on him, they're always gonna be hating on him, no matter what he does. Okay, so like I said, it's not a good path to go down and try to prove the haters wrong. And they're just gonna move the goalposts They're just gonna say, "Oh, he was this," or the sun was too strong that day, or he had kryptonite in his gloves or some shit. Um, but but yeah, man, that's it with that. I just feel like that's what it is with uh with the Canelo thing. Um, but moving on to Tyson, guys, versus Jake Paul. This is a weird one. This is another one of these weird fights that's happening between Jake Paul and Mike Tyson. I don't know what to think. It's like I saw Mike Tyson. I saw a couple of videos of him walking with a cane, really slowly. Did not look good at all. Um, I mean, what is happening? I don't know. Some people think Mike Tyson still has a chance to win. I'm not even gonna say who I think is gonna win. I'm just saying like the whole situation is just weird to me, especially since we've seen it before. Like I've seen this whole thing where they bring back an old black legend, you know, and they pin him up against a young white champion, um, and the young white champion wins. you know, and this is just another iteration of that thing. Um, and I really don't know what to think about it. I guess it's gonna be big because it's on Netflix. Um, so I don't know. I think I heard Jake Paul trying to pull out of the fight. So I don't know. I don't know, bro. It's a weird one for sure. For sure, it's a weird one. Um, Vosnik is rumored to be Benavidez' next opponent, and and I think it's just a rumor, bro. I really don't think. I really don't think that's gonna happen next. I think, yeah, I is that illusion thing, bro. That Mexican monster illusion was gonna break if they pin him up against somebody that he can't push around. You know, and somebody who's a little bigger than him, who he's not gonna be able to manhandle. It's gonna require him to play outside of his comfort zone. And the only one that's really doing that right now is Canelo Alvarez and Ryan Garcia, because obviously he's gonna fight out an impossible fight against Devin Haney. So, um, but it's like it's crazy, man, because it's like in my mind it's like a Chihuahua beating up a bunch of Huskies. Canelo being the Chihuahua, and these guys, these big Eastern European guys being the Huskies or the Wolves, let's say. And all of these other dogs are looking at the Huskies or the Wolves or whatever, and they're like, "Nah, we ain't gonna go after the Wolves ourselves. I think I'm gonna take my chances with the Chihuahua, even though the Chihuahua is beating up all of these other Huskies. Yeah, I'm gonna take my chances with with the little red Chihuahua. Um, and that's what people are praising right now, like the easy routes. Like for example, Jake Paul, picking on a 60-plus-year-old man, and everybody's like, woo hoo, yeah. It's a crazy world out here, man. It's a crazy world out here, and I'm just sitting here looking at it like, damn, you know. Um, but yeah, I don't think Benavidez is gonna go through with this fight. I think it's not in his best interest to fight Vosnik. Um, Once if you call out the Chihuahua though, the other Huskies are going to look at it and they're going to be like, "Oh, for real? You want a piece of this? Why don't you take me on first?" You know. Um, but and it's the same thing in the real world, bro. If you think about it, the guys doing the hard work, the guys doing all of the work, are the ones that, especially here in the U.S., are the ones that are hated the most, and the guys that are complaining and asking for handouts, uh, are the ones that are considered to be better or something. So moving on to Ryan Garcia and the crazy stuff he's talking about. Kind of heavy subjects, talking about child abuse, rape. Um, I don't know what to think about that. It's kind of crazy. I have my suspicions about what's going on, but I don't want to. I'm going to talk about it. I got to talk about it. But what I like to do is look at patterns, right? Especially when it comes to martial arts and stuff like that. I look at what works, judging by patterns and kind of like stats, I guess you could say. Like for example, the other day I was talking about what the best submission is or the most effective submissions are. Even though I'm not a submission expert by any means, I could do that by looking at patterns and how most fights end with, these four techniques, which is a rear naked choke, a guillotine, an armbar, and I think a heel hook. I think. Um, and if I was to practice MMA, I would practice and drill those techniques. Um, and how to apply them, because I see the patterns that most of the time, most fights that go to the ground end with these submissions, right? Um, and when it comes to Ryan Garcia and what he's talking about, I look at it from two perspectives. One, the drunk guy, right? We all know a drunk person or person that's under the influence. They start talking, they start saying things, and a lot of times, the things they're saying are about, I'm going to say about 80% lies, and there is some truth to what they're saying. Very small percentage of truth to what they're saying. So it's not always completely lies. Like for example, I used to have a friend back in the day who every time he got drunk he would cry, um, and he would just be bawling, talking about, "Oh my God, I think I'm dying. There's something wrong with me." And I was like, "What's wrong with you, bro? Like, what's up?" He's like, because he was a big guy. He's a big dude. He's a chubby guy, and we would always mess with him about his man tits. He had big man tits, and so that was a subject of us, picking on him. Sometimes they would pick on each other. You know how guys are. Um, and I guess it made him feel some kind of way, right? And it would come into these episodes to where he was crying about his man tits having milk, and he would be like, "Oh, I think I'm dying. Something wrong with me. There's milk coming out of my tits." And I was like, man, it's just funny, right? But it's like, bro, there's nothing. There's no way, because you're not a female. You can't lactate. Even though you do look pregnant. um, but yeah, so it was based on a truth, which is that he had man tits. He had big man breasts. Um, but the rest of it was a lie. He don't need to go to the hospital for that. If he does, he's gonna be like, "Bro, no, there's no milk coming out. You're just fat." and exercise and stop eating so much. Um, so when it comes to Ryan, I do think some of the things he's saying are true. But he's not saying anything new. He's not saying something that's new to our times or something that's new to any of us now, today, or in the past. Like this stuff, bro, that he's talking about, Bohemian Grove and the elite and this, that, and the other. It's been going on, bro. It's been going on. Every time there's a group of rich people, they're going to want to control the rest of the other people. It's just the way it is. I mean, there's been books written about it, so it's nothing new. And the stuff he's talking about himself, he's not breaking any news. He's not saying anything that we didn't know or we haven't heard. He even mentioned the person that everybody heard about it first, which is Alex Jones. You know, um, so it's like if he would have said some specific names, if he would have called out specific people, if he would have had some type of proof or something, then yeah, I'll be like, okay, that's crazy. But he's not really saying nothing new, bro. That's why to me, it's like the one thing I will tell you, the other pattern that I notice is that a lot of people are doing what Ryan is doing, which is somewhere towards the end of their career, or if their career is going bad, or not in the limelight, not as popular as they used to be, they come up with stuff like this. And I'm not saying that it's fake. I mean, of course, we know it's not fake, but it happens in every genre or for example, in entertainment. How many times have you heard a guy who's like, for example, Cat Williams? For a while, we hadn't heard about Cat Williams for a long time. He last time I heard of him, he was being choked out by a 14-year-old in the playground. And it's like, bro, like, and then all of a sudden he's in a show talking shit about everybody, calling out the elite, and his numbers skyrocket. And he's not the only one doing that. And you think I don't see those patterns and be like, okay, so now it's to the point to where every time one of these guys needs to be popular, needs to get the people behind him, there's a certain words that he could use to make the people fall in line and back him up no matter what he does. Like, look at the stuff he's doing. I mean, he's going crazy, bro. Like drinking, doing all kinds of crazy stuff, but nobody's gonna say nothing to him because he's like, oh, if you say something about him, guess what? You're against God, and you support. And that's what he's actually saying. He's like, he says it in his videos. He's like, if you're against me, you support child abuse. It's like, bro, no, I just know what I'm looking at, bro. I've seen this before, and it's all across. It's in politics. It's in entertainment. In the comedy world, bro, the best thing you could do in the comedy world, if you wanna, get your numbers up, is tell people that you're being canceled and that they're coming after you for saying the truth. Next thing you know, your number is gonna be skyrocketing and it doesn't have to be true, but people steady falling for the same stuff. But like I said, I'm not here to tell you he's lying or he's saying the truth or whatever. I'm just telling you the patterns that I see, and where I'm standing with this one here in particular. But anyways, guys, that is gonna be it for today. If you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will catch you guys